I'd love for us to do another exercise right now. It's just a quick and simple social media self-care checklist. And what I'd really love for us to do is talk about what we do or what we need to do offline to refresh from this. Because you started off with, talking about what role this plays in our lives, but this is going to ask you a very simple question. When I need to refresh from social media, I can do what? And so this is for you, I think, to think about what brings you joy, what makes you feel more mindful in your life, what maybe makes you feel physically active. Is it getting fresh air? Is it going for a hike? Is it picking up the phone and calling somebody? Is it reading a book, which, by the way, has been my answer to scrolling late at night, because I would find myself an hour into people's lives that I don't care about. And instead I started reading a lot more books before I went to bed so that I could feed myself in a different way. So very, very simple, but what I'm hoping to do, just write down maybe 2 or 3 for right now. And we'll be able to give this as a download as well. But this social media self-care checklist is tangible. What can you do when you need to refresh? Let's just make let's ideate. So maybe you've done it or maybe you want to do it. Let's just make a list of 2 or 3. Excellent. So what do you have? What did you come up with when you did a social media self-care checklist? Let's start to rattle off a couple. Yes?
Well, I just said to avoid it. I mean, that's like the only way I know how to refresh from it. Is just take a step back and just get off of it for a while, and maybe that will help me out of that.
Great.
Definitely worth trying. My boyfriend deletes it off his phone all the time, and that's when I've been like, oh, you didn't see the outfit? No. But so he deletes it. He's just like, right now I don't need it as a distraction on my phone. So, and again, I've never actually done that. Never in my whole time of owning social media, having my media empire, I've never had to delete it. But I did, like you said, do the phone detox time. But that was even more for actually text messages. Again, I wasn't in a great place relationship-wise at that point in time, and I actually didn't want to speak to anyone. So that's okay as well, by the way.
Excellent. What else did you guys come up with?
I was going to touch on what Brenna's talked about yesterday, was kind of limiting the time, so where she had it locked to where she couldn't go on after an hour. So I feel like that's a really good way to help avoid.
Just like a tanning bed,
Exactly.
What else did you come up with?
A lot of times when I'm on social media, I feel like I don't really have an independent thought. So I'll just kind of take a break and go for a walk, not use my phone, and just think for myself.
Very interesting.
And I can definitely notice the difference after that.
I'm so glad that you brought that up, because again, I feel I have something slightly different to add generationally, having kind of lived in 2 different planes in that way, which is we don't often give ourselves time to think without performing. Right? We've ended up living in such a performative culture where everything is for an audience, even if it's for an audience of 1, even if it's for you, right? But it's an audience, and that flips your brain differently when you think about crafting something for consumption versus expression, or just thinking that is for you, right? Is exploratory and curious and a little bit, so our leisure time has been spent sort of scrolling or looking at things in that way. And again, not a judgment, but an observation. That I love that you brought that up as a way to just take yourself out of it, but also give yourself another way to engage, right? Just to think about something or get stimulated by something. That's honestly why I started. I love reading. I really love reading books, and I didn't for a long time because I was just reading everybody's life stories. And I feel like with Insta stories, honest to God, I feel like I'm watching 50,000 TV shows. And I'm catching up with plot lines and storylines all the time for things I don't care about, though, a majority, right? So one of my big things has been to delete and to edit, not the whole app, but lots of things.
You can mute stories
and
as
mute
well.
And
you can mute.
But just get people out of my feed or things out of my feed where I'm like, I don't even, where I do a little self-check, right? Do I love this? Is this feeding me? Is this healthy for me? If it's an absolute, if it's a fuzzy, it's a no.
Right? I forgot to even say, just recently, I was kind of going through, I don't know why I did it, but I was going through people who I didn't realize didn't follow me. Does that make sense? And I was kind of like, she never followed me all this whole time. I was like, there was some shocking, but I had to bring it back to, but does it matter because she's not actually my friend and I never see her and we never hang out, so why would you follow me? But I followed her, so there was this weird thing where, I know it says follow back when she, So there's that weird, and great story, you don't have to put this in the thing, but if any of you are Game of Thrones fans, Sansa Stark followed me and I didn't know. And I literally saw it and I DM'd her immediately. I was like, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. I didn't know you followed me. You're amazing. Like, I make good baked beans on toast. I literally said this, I make great baked beans on toast. If you ever want to hang out, I'll cook for you, whatever you need.
So it can come in handy for
Madam.
sure.
Yeah.
A couple of other examples of how you refresh. Yeah, please.
So I notoriously lose my phone, and oftentimes when I do, I don't replace it right away. And that's kind of like a great detox. And my friends were like one time it was literally almost a month before I replaced
Oh, a month? I've done 3 days. I left one in an Uber and I was at the airport through security and I was like, well, this is life. And I had to figure shit out on my own. Sorry to swear. I had to figure it out on my own. And like you said, maps and ordering pizza. I was like, can someone order me a pizza? Like, how do I do this? I can't Uber. I was in Chicago, just like, I don't know anything
You
anymore.
guys, the world totally existed before social media and phones. I promise you, and we will exist again.
Yeah.
No, I get it. It becomes part of our routine. It's just these are the moments where I feel real old.
Yeah, and it is weird at first, like the first couple of days, but then I just got kind of used to it, and it was like a nice feeling.
Because you ask people questions instead of Google, which is one thing I definitely found. Or like I ask people for things, I would be like, Gina, is there any way you could do that? I don't know. I felt like I was communicating with people more because, I wasn't relying on the technology to communicate with me.
Such a good refresher.
Yeah.
One or two more examples?
I'll share.
Yeah, please.
So we spend all of this time on social media connecting with people that we don't even know.
Yes.
So I like to either make a phone call or FaceTime somebody that I love and that I want to talk to, like actually hear their voice, or write a letter.
Yes.
Lovely.
Just
I love
because
it.
everyone loves getting snail mail. So
Yes, we really, really
do
do.
that for somebody else.
Yeah, I love that. And even if you don't do that regularly, when you even do it once, it does remind you that there is a different way we can spend time. I find that, it can be such a time suck, right? All of a sudden I mentioned like hours go by, or you're like, what have I been doing? And what could I have been doing?
I'd rather spend an hour on the phone with my mom than an hour scrolling through a social media feed with people that I don't know.
Bingo.
So that's you giving that power over social
That's
media,
right.
and I think it is such a power sucker from us. And I think unless you're investing in it to give you power back in some way, if it's purpose, if it's helping someone, if it's inspiring someone, otherwise, really, what is the point? Is it enriching your life or is it taking something away?
And we, again, could have this conversation about so many places in our life, right?
Yeah.
Where are we putting our energy and our focus?